Hey everyone, and welcome. Today you'll be learning the fastest and most effective way to get yourself out of ELO hell. Now, what I'm about to teach you isn't just a cheese strategy. It's simple, easy to use, but it can also be built upon with higher level concepts as you improve at the game. Essentially, it's easy to learn, but has a ton of room to master and can be effective all the way from Iron to Master ELO. So what is this amazing strategy? It's Jack's Jungle. Don't be fooled though, this is so much more than the champion itself, and I promise you that even if you have never played Jax before, that you can use it to climb. I highly recommend you guys give this a try, as it's some of the most fun you can have in the jungle. Not only do you get opportunities to make crazy outplays on the opponent, but it's also a playstyle where you don't have to rely on teammates at all. The outcome of the game will be completely in your hands from start to finish. If you've always wanted to become a carry god in the jungle, then this is for you. We've spent a lot of time and effort on this guide to teach you exactly how to execute this strategy from beginning to end. You'll be learning 4 main things in this video. First, the standard route to use every single game. Second, how to gank as Jax with some cool tricks you might not have seen before. Third, how to balance ganking and farming during the laning phase. And fourth, what you should be doing and how to win the game once the laning phase ends. On top of this, we'll be giving you a rundown of the runes, skills, and build order at the end of the guide, so make sure to watch until the end. I quickly want to mention that to create these epic guides, we have a large dedicated team of analysts and video editors, which is made possible by our website's paid subscribers. While we enjoy releasing a small amount of content to our YouTube for free, we would love for you to come and support us by signing up to skillcap.com. Upon doing so, you receive at least 5 times the amount of equally great content. Alright, let's jump straight into it, starting with your route. You'll start at your red, then do Krugs, then Raptors, into blue, and then take the Scuttle. This is the same route you'll be doing every single game. The reason we do this is that since Krugs and Raptors are the most valuable camps in terms of golden experience, we want to clear them as early as possible to get them to respawn sooner. Then, after you kill your blue, the Scuttle will have spawned, and you'll be level 3 with double buffs in position to take it. When you do this route, there are a few optimizations that you need to be aware of. So you start with your E ability, killing the red. Then once you arrive at the Krugs, make sure to focus down the medium Krug first. This will cause it to split into 2 smaller Krugs. At that point, activate your E ability, which will AoE them down. It's not a huge deal, but cuts down about a second off your route. You then smite the ancient Krug and clear the rest of it as normal. Once you get to your Raptors, you want to again activate your E ability, making sure it stuns all of the Raptors. However, be sure to focus your auto attacks on one small raptor at a time as you kite back. This will help reduce the damage you take from the camp. Additionally, as you move to your blue buff, make sure to use the blast cone plant to save yourself a bit of time. After blue, as you move to take the Scuttle, some of you are probably wondering, what if the enemy jungler tries to fight you? Here's the thing, Jax not only has godlike scaling, he also has an incredibly strong 1v1 in the early game. You'll be near full health, with double buffs and smite up. It will be very easy for you to win any fight against the enemy jungler over the Scuttle. Now this leaves us with one obvious question. What should you do after you've taken the Scuttle? It's actually quite simple, as you only have 2 options. First, look to see if any ganks are available. Jax has great ganks in the early game due to having a form of engage with his Q and a stun with his E. For example, in this game, you can see that Rumble is overextended mid after we take the Scuttle. We move to gank him to get a kill, but it doesn't work out. That's perfectly fine though, as we fall back on the second option, which is to clear our wolves, then Gromp, into recalling. This is the route you'll be executing every game. Start red, then Krugs, Raptors, blue, into Scuttle. Look to gank, then after the gank, or if none were available, clear your wolves, Gromp, into recalling. Now, before we head into what to do next, you first need to learn how to gank as Jax. First is your standard gank combo. You activate your E, then Q to the opponent, activate E again to stun them. The reason you activate your E early is that you can't reactivate it to stun the enemy for 1 second. By activating your E early, you'll be able to reactivate it once you land on the opponent, stunning them sooner. You then follow this up with an auto attack into your W ability. The reason why you auto attack first is your W ability resets your auto attack animation, letting you do additional damage. To summarize, it's E, Q, E into auto attack W. There's also an advanced variation of this combo, where you activate your E, Q onto the opponent, but then don't reactivate your E and instead let it run for as long as possible. This is done to try and bait the opponent into flashing, which once they do, you follow their flash with your own, then reactivating your E to stun them. This is a great way to secure kills when the opponent has flash available. That being said, you don't always have to lead with your Q ability. For example, in this case, I have an angle where I'm cutting off his retreat path. There's no need to use my Q, and I can simply walk into melee range instead. This allows me to activate my E, wait for him to use flash, then use my Q to follow up. This lets me kill the opponent while getting their flash and not having to use my own. And the last gank combo is simple but effective. You can activate your E, wait a second, then flash into your Q to cover large distances and catch the opponent off guard. Great, so you now know your opening route and how to gank with Jax. After your first recall, you'll want to buy a skirmisher's saber, and longsword if you can afford one, otherwise just a skirmisher's saber. You should also get in the habit of purchasing a control ward whenever you can as Jax. This is because Jax can ward hop, where after you place a ward, you can use your Q ability to leap to it. This can be great at getting out of bad situations. It's also why holding a control ward in your inventory can always be handy, and why you should stay on a regular warding totem as your trinket throughout the game. Now, as you leave the base, head to your Krugs as they will have respawned, and after killing them, then clear your raptors. It's at this point you'll have what's referred to as dead time, which just means a length of time in which a jungler is waiting for his camps to respawn. As you can see, our Wolves and Gromp haven't respawned yet. You can make use of this by looking for ganks, soaking minions, whatever you need to do until your red spawns, which you take immediately. After this, you'll have a bit more dead time to work with to pressure the map. That being said, you'll want to recall once you have enough gold to purchase a Tiamat. The reason for this is Tiamat will enable you to clear camps absurdly fast. It's at this point you unlock a new phase of the strategy. With your Tiamat, you now want to focus on full clearing your jungle first, and then looking to take fights after. By repeating this process of full clearing with Tiamat into then looking to pressure the map, you'll acquire a massive gold and experience lead in the form of jungle camps. That being said, full clearing isn't enough. We'll also be using the tactic of soaking minions on top of full clearing our jungle to get an absurd amount of gold and experience. For example, after you full cleared your jungle and cleaned up this fight, you might think to take the Rift Herald that's up, but that would be incorrect. Instead, you head mid to soak minion experience and get the tower. And what do you do after this? Well, with our entire jungle cleared, we invade the enemy's jungle, stealing their Krugs. You then gank bot after, soaking additional minions. As you can imagine, doing this over the course of the laning phase will give you a massive lead over everyone in the game. That being said, there's actually a very specific tactic you can use yourself to soak an ungodly amount of minions. When you gank a lane successfully, you want to push the remaining minions into the tower. This alone lets you soak a lot of minions. However, you then want to stay to take tower plates and soak the next wave. Then as the enemy returns to their lane, engage on them just out of tower range. This will allow you to soak further minion waves as you take more tower plates. It's through this process of full clearing and soaking minion waves that will give you a lead in the laning phase that's impossible for the enemy jungler to catch up to. Once the laning phase comes to an end, which is signaled by the outer towers falling, you enter into a new phase of the strategy, split pushing. Jax is such a strong dueler and scales so well with items and levels that at this point you'll be able to 1v1 anyone in the game, so you'll want to head into an empty side lane and begin split pushing. For example, in this game we see Darius pressuring top while none of our teammates are there to defend. We head top to easily 1v1 Darius. And then push wave after wave of minions, taking the next tower, and start to steal the enemy's jungle. It's through split pushing that you'll not only put a tremendous amount of pressure on the enemy, but also build an even bigger golden experience lead. After this, we take the Rift Herald and scuttle. Then seeing that Darius pushed top again, we move to push it back and pick up several more minion waves into stealing the enemy's jungle again. Then, after recalling, we clear one half of our jungle and see that none of our teammates are bot lane and move to push it. Jhin is there, so we pick up another easy kill into pushing to the enemy's inhibitor, where we easily tower dive and kill Jhin again. As you can see, split pushing can be highly profitable and will be your main way of winning games. Now, there's no way to teach you everything you need to know about split pushing in this video, but you can follow two simple rules to guarantee success. There's one thing you always need to be paying attention to when you split push, whether your teammates are pressuring the map. For example, in this game we move to split push bot. As we push to the tower, we watch the minimap looking for our teammates. Our teammates are recalling, which means they won't be pressuring the map. This indicates that we need to back off. So we do, stealing the enemy's Gromp into taking a scuttle. We then see Master Yi is pushing the wave bot, so we move to push it back and resume split pushing. This time, as we get to the enemy's tower, we can see our teammates are in position to pressure the map. For this reason, we don't back off, and we continue pushing to the tower. The enemy bot lane responds, so we back off, but we see our teammates are still pressuring the map, so we move back to split push and take the tower. This is the simple rule you need to follow. Push into backing off if your teammates aren't pressuring the map. If they are pressuring the map, then continue pushing to take the tower. This is the most common mistake players make when split pushing, is not paying attention to where your teammates are on the map. For example, in this game, we can see our teammates are clearly off the map and not pressuring anything. However, we ignore that and continue to play aggressively in the enemy's jungle, resulting in the enemy team easily able to collapse on us and killing us without losing anything for doing so. Alright, now let's move into your runes, skill, and build order. Starting with runes. For your primary runes, you want to head into the precision tree and take Conqueror, as it gives you tremendous scaling and 1v1 power as the game progresses. You then take Triumph, as none of the other options are as good on Jax. Next, you take Legend Alacrity for additional DPS. However, you can take Legend Tenacity if you're facing heavy crowd control compositions. And lastly, you take Coup de Grace to increase your damage. Your secondary runes are just as important though. You go into Inspiration and take Magical Footwear. This is important as your build is expensive and you need to save on gold wherever possible. You then take Futures Market, which lets you go into debt to purchase items earlier. This is really important so that you can hit your Tiamat spike as early as possible, along with other key spikes such as Trinity Force. Trust me, once you run this rune with this strategy, you won't look back. For your stats, you take Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and Armor. For your skill order, you want to take E first, W second, into Q third. You then max your W first, E second, and Q last, taking a point in your ultimate whenever you can. For your build, you want to get a Skirmish Saber on your first recall, then a Tiamat as soon as you can afford it. After this, you build a Trinity Force into then turning your Skirmish Saber into a Cinder Hulk. After this, you want to build a Rage Blade, then a Spear of Shojin. If the game is still continuing, you then want to sell your Tiamat and replace it with a Death Stance. For your boots, you upgrade them either to Ninja Tabby or Mercury Treads based on the enemy's composition. This final build will make you an absolute monster in the side lane, allowing you to easily 1v5 the game. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. We hope you enjoyed it as we spent a lot of time and effort on it, but would love to hear your feedback on it as well. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.